All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Trina Louie, and I'd like to welcome you all to our webinar, How to Promote Your CES Exhibit, Tools and Strategies for Event Marketing and Media Relations. If you're watching this, we're willing to bet you've experienced a time where you had to promote something, whether it be a product or service for your company, yourself during an interview, or perhaps it was at the lemonade stand as a kid. Today we're going to show you how to promote your CES presence through multiple channels to ensure that your story reaches as many interested audiences as possible. Our presenters today will be myself, Trina Louie, and my colleague, Ariane Muldoon. We are both Senior Customer Content Specialists with Virtual Press Office, Cision PR Newswire's Trade Show Division. We have several years of experience counseling clients on event-related content and have attended and exhibited at numerous trade shows. Now before we dive in, please take note that you are in listen-only mode, but you'll be able to send us questions through the chat in the bottom left-hand corner throughout the presentation. We will answer all questions when we're finished presenting, so don't worry, we're not ignoring you. We will be also emailing the recording of this webinar and the presentation slides after the webinar is complete. In this webinar, we'll go over who we are as a company, why pre-show marketing is important, and what the CES online press room is and how to use it. You'll also discover tools that are available to help you accomplish your event goals. We'll provide an in-depth look into each of those tools and demonstrate how CES exhibiting companies have successfully utilized them in the past. And now I'll hand it off to Ariane to start us off.
Okay, so before we begin throwing all sorts of stats and tips at you, we wanted to give you a little bit of background on who we are and what we do. Virtual Press Office is essentially Cision PR Newswire's trade show division, and our ultimate goal is to help you tell your trade show story. VPO was founded in 1996 and invented the online trade show press office as an environmentally friendly alternative to traditional paper press kits. After being in business for over 20 years, today we are a leader in online press office management and event marketing solutions. VPO has helped hundreds of brands launch successful campaigns in the industry, from household names like Casio, Kodak, and Lego to startup companies new to the market. We have experience assisting companies in executing their event strategies. We've also exhibited at our fair share of shows, so we definitely understand all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes and know firsthand about the deadlines that you're facing leading up to the show. Primarily, however, we're here as a resource. Over the years, our team has been fortunate enough to attend CES several times to meet with clients, deepen our knowledge about the show, and just experience everything that CES has to offer. So if we can help take one thing off your plate or make something easier for you so that you can focus on other parts of the show, we're delighted to do it. Okay, let's get started by first taking a look at some numbers that will put everything we'll be talking about into context. Pre-show marketing is crucial to your event strategy, and these statistics really illustrate why. 70% of attendees decide which booths to visit before the event, but only 13% of companies do some type of pre-show marketing. These two stats immediately tell a story. If you're not getting in front of your customers, prospects, and other audiences before the show, you likely won't get in front of them at the event either. Of the companies that do use pre-show marketing tactics, less than half, just 40%, are actually tracking and measuring the results of those efforts. This number should be 100%. If you are going to invest in pre-show promotion, you need to be able to show some sort of data to prove ROI and inform your strategy going forward. If you're trying to argue for a larger trade show budget or trying to explain why your dollars were well spent, your boss will want to see actionable numbers, right? Think about what success would look like for you and what benchmarks are important to your company, then select solutions that support that vision. Finally, 63% of exhibitors see the value and importance of pre-show promotion increasing in the coming years. So if you're not doing pre-show marketing, your competitors are, or they soon will be. So if I've just made you panic because you've already spent most of your trade show budget but haven't done much pre-show marketing yet, not to worry. While there are a lot of pre-show marketing options out there, we like to focus on ones that are accessible, easy to execute, and low cost with high impact. Email is an effective tool that just about everyone is already utilizing. You can use email for media pitches, custom invites to customers, and of course, broad marketing blasts to your own segmented house list. Social media is something that you can't overlook in the technology industry. If your customers are on social media, which they are, you should be too. You don't have to post everywhere, especially if certain platforms don't really make sense for your brand. Instead, focus on the places where your customers live, like Twitter and Facebook. Event microsites are increasing in popularity, and for good reason. They offer a one-stop shop for timely, concise, relevant content. If someone is looking for information related to your company at the show, it's a lot better to send them to your event landing page rather than just telling them to go to your website, where you have to hope they find what they're looking for or hope they make it into your lead funnel. We'll dig much deeper into event microsites shortly. Blog posts are another great way to connect with your audience in the months and weeks leading up to the event. This space is perfect for offering teasers about what you'll be announcing at the show or putting a spotlight on a company VP that might have a panel slot. While there are a lot of other promotional methods out there, like direct mail and ads, don't forget about the existing content you already have in your toolbox. Things like press releases, brochures, and multimedia can be very effective across your owned and paid spaces to produce results. So if you were feeling a little overwhelmed a few minutes ago, I hope you know you're not out of options or resources. If you do even just one of the above tactics, you'll already be ahead of a lot of your peers. One resource in particular that we're excited to invite you to participate in is our dedicated CES event page by way of an online press kit package. This press room is an important resource for media, attendees, and industry professionals that can give you a huge visibility boost. As we discussed earlier, pre-show marketing investment is crucial. While there are a lot of pre-show marketing avenues you can take, this one hits a lot of different points and it can easily coexist with other channels. So let's go over some basics about our CES room before we get into press kit specifics. Firstly, you can access the site by going right to ces.vporoom.com. You can also find our site via Google, and of course we promote it through social media and press releases as well. Once there, you can see why we call it a comprehensive resource. It's a one-stop shop for everything from the latest headlines to exhibitor press kits with in-depth content. Journalists are also directed to this page to source their stories around the show. This page is available 24/7, 365 from any device and is mobile friendly. We simply update this site every year in advance of the event, so the URL does not change, and it's easy to search for old news if you so choose. The great thing about being online is that journalists on deadline can easily access the information they need, even if it's at 3 a.m. The press room is also search engine optimized, which results in a larger audience outside of the show finding and engaging with the content. Having news online also gives it longevity. Once the information is out there and indexed by Google, someone will always be able to find it. Finally, the press room is flexible. Not only is it responsive, but it can handle any sort of file, whether that's a Word document, PDF, or YouTube video. It updates in real time and is built to accommodate last-minute changes and breaking news. For a little insight, the event page from the last CES event received nearly 12,000 page views in December and January alone. Individual press kit averages will have a wide range depending on what kind of content you have and how much promotion you do. But being featured on the online press room is a great way to stand out over other exhibitors and easily amplify your show presence, especially when you have a limited budget and need to pick and choose your investments. So now that we've gone over the perks of being part of the online press room, I'd like to dive a little deeper and look at the benefits of the online press kit itself. Note that we have 3 different levels of press kits, but each feature we're discussing here applies to every level. So though we often use the term online press kit, it's really more of a content hub or an event microsite that is hosted on the press room. It can house everything from news announcements to high-res images and video to case studies or brochures. For a show like CES, the attendees are expecting and want a lot of content. and this is a really effective way to easily deliver information. The other great thing about hosting your content on a kit like this is that it's quick and simple to set up, and if you have any last-minute changes, it's very easy for us to edit. Instead of spending hours creating physical paper press kits or putting together USBs, you can free up that time to focus on other tasks. We've actually had a lot of people tell us that many of their USB press kits go unused because journalists will just wipe off the content and use them as their own personal USBs. We also have distribution capabilities. So for any recent announcements that you elect to place on your press kit, we will automatically email them out for you. They'll reach journalists and industry professionals who requested to receive news from us. This is a huge advantage over DIYing a site or using other services because we can guarantee distribution. Another important part of an event microsite is one that's often overlooked: contact information. Include your company address, your PR agency rep if you have one, the best person to connect with at the show, who to contact after the event for follow-up questions, etc. We also have a spot for the booth number to ensure anyone looking at your kit knows exactly where to find you. One major perk of an online press kit over a hard copy is data. With our press kits, we provide you with reporting metrics. You can easily see what content resonated with your audience and how much your kit was used. We have numbers on visits, clicks, downloads, email opens, and even the amount of time spent on individual pages. In many cases, those people interacting with your press kit will be viewing it across multiple devices, so it's important to have a responsive design. Both the press room and the press kits are responsive, meaning your audience can enjoy a seamless content experience wherever they are. To personalize your kit, we can incorporate familiar branding elements such as a company logo, accent color, and your social media accounts. There's also a space for a company description, which you can utilize however you like. Even though you wouldn't be hosting the kit, using a branded microsite like this helps keep your event messaging visually consistent. Another major perk is having a shareable vanity URL. To have a truly successful press kit, you'll want to promote the link to it as much as possible in press releases and social media posts, on business cards, and on the show floor. When you're using a link that much, you want it to be simple. The format of our press kit links is ces.bporoom.com/your company name. Having your kit online with a branded URL also makes it SEO friendly, giving you an extra boost in exposure. Finally, we offer the option to add on some additional premium features. For example, if you want a lead generation form to use for booking interview appointments or demos, we can do that. If you have a lot of products or calls to action that you want to direct your audience to, you might want to do a scrolling photo slideshow feature instead. Depending on your event goals, we can work with you to create a custom press kit that meets your needs. Okay, so you're all experts on the general benefits of online press kits now, but we wanted to take a moment to dive a little deeper into the 3 different levels of press kits that I mentioned earlier. Let's get started with the micro kit. So the micro kit is our starting level and is $3.99. It includes a vanity URL, which I mentioned a few moments ago. That's a customized URL with your company name. You also have space for a PR contact listing, a logo or banner to stretch across the top, a website link, and a company description. The main micro kit feature is that it hosts up to 3 pieces of content, so you could do 3 releases or 1 release, 1 photo, and 1 video, any kind of mix and match that you want. Any news releases added to the kit that are less than 30 days old will be automatically emailed out to the journalists that have signed up to receive news with us. Social sharing buttons are also built into the kit so that anyone can easily share a release on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. There's also an email button to make sending the press kit to a colleague, prospect, buyer, or journalist super simple. The reporting metrics come in the form of weekly and monthly emails containing data summaries on how visitors interacted with your content. Finally, the press kit is active for 1 year, so you can continue to use it in your follow-up and outreach efforts well after the show ends. So the standard kit is our mid-level and our most popular option at $6.99. It includes all of the features that we just went over for the micro kit, plus 6 pieces of content rather than 3. At this level, you also unlock the ability to embed up to 3 assets with each news release. So an asset could be anything from a photo to a video to a PDF. For example, if you have 6 press releases, you could add 3 images to each one, and these embedded assets do not count toward that 6 pieces of content total. You also get your choice of branding design color. This is the accent color that affects the button colors, link colors, and is usually one that we match to your logo. To further create a branded experience, we can add your company's social media properties in a call-out box on the right-hand side. This makes it easy for readers to connect with you, especially since we can pull in live feeds from certain properties like Facebook and Twitter. The Premium Kit is our highest level at $9.99 and includes all of the features of the standard kit, plus a scrolling photo slideshow banner with up to 5 images. This appears under the main logo or banner that sits at the top of the press kit. It's really great for drawing attention to certain show highlights or for showcasing a call to action. Each image can have a caption and link out to a page of your choice, whether that's on your own website or somewhere else. We have clients that use this to draw attention to new products, speaking engagements, or giveaways. If you're looking to capture leads, we can also create a completely customized lead generation form. This is perfect if you want to book appointments for demos or interviews or just want an additional way to gather prospects. With the Premium Press Kit, we also do a little more magic behind the scenes to enhance SEO optimization. As an example, one of the things we do is customize all of the URLs for each of your Press Kit tabs. So you already have a branded URL that has your company name in it, but then we take it a step further. Instead of the News tab URL reading something like ces.vporoom.com/your company name /index, a bunch of numbers, it'll just say /news. So depending on your event focus, one of these kits probably stands out as a better fit than the others. In general, micro kits are great if you have just 1 or 2 announcements and want to make sure you reach the journalists that have requested to receive news about the show. Standard kits are ideal if you have multiple announcements or a lot of supplementary content that you want to be able to easily share with various groups. But if you have a ton of content or have several different campaigns with specific needs, that's when the Premium Kit comes in handy. Okay, so to make your online press kit as successful as it can be, we'd like to offer you some tips and best practices. After all, the online press kit is a tool, but for it to be effective, it has to be put together and promoted properly. Even if you don't end up getting a press kit with us, many of these tactics can be applied to other solutions, so just keep that in mind. So the number one thing is to use relevant content. You're creating a microsite for a reason. You don't want to force your audience to sift through old content that's not pertinent to the show. They could just dig through your website archives for that, and no one really wants to do that. Instead, pare down materials to only the most pertinent for the event and your story. Journalists use these kits as a resource, and oftentimes we'll see the exact images and files supplied on the press kit as the feature photo or quote in an earned media piece. For the content you do choose to feature, utilize the mix and match format approach. One type of content might resonate with one person over another, so include text, images, and video if possible. Infographics are one of my favorite things to see on press kits because they convey a lot of information in a smart, visual way and can be used by various audience groups. Essentially, the more types of content you include, the higher your chances are of having someone utilize it. So I cannot overstate this third tip enough. Promote the URL. The idea that if you build it, they will come is not a sound strategy, especially for event promotion. You need to be proactive. Include the link in press releases, emails, invites, on social media, on your website, anywhere that makes sense. You know where your audience is better than we do, so share your content in the spaces that they frequent. However, we do a bit of promotion ourselves to give you a boost. We send out what we call a roundup release that promotes our CES site. This gets sent out over PR Newswire's US 1 news line, is targeted for the technology industry, and helps drive more traffic to our page and hopefully to your press kit as well. Don't forget that your press kit is a tool to be used right on the show floor too. Most people see the value of the press kit for pre-show promotion and post-show follow-up, but then forget about it during the event, and that's actually when it can really shine. You can easily access the kit on any digital device you have with you, your phone, a tablet, laptop, etc. There's an email functionality on the kit, so if you're having a conversation with someone and want to send them more information, just ask for their address and hit the email button to instantly share it with them. One of my favorite examples is including the press kit link on the business cards that you bring to the show. Many of our clients use this tactic with success. If you don't want to get new business cards printed or just don't have time, an easy fix is getting the link printed out on adhesive labels instead. That way you can just quickly paste the link onto the card. As I mentioned, the press kit is a great follow-up tool, so be sure to include the link in all of your post-show communications and pitches. If you're doing any follow-up at all, honestly, you're already ahead of the game. Leads gathered at trade shows are notorious for being lost simply because no one ever followed up with them, so don't let that happen to you. Of the people you do reach out to, remember that they talked with a ton of people. Instead of trying to rehash your conversation in the email to jog their memory, include the press kit link as a reference. If it's visually branded and contains content that you discussed, they'll instantly remember who you are. You can still include personal details in your outreach, of course, but the press kit really does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. After the show, don't forget to examine your reporting data. No matter what kind of service you're using, this is a crucial step. Take stock of what content performed well and what maybe didn't perform so well. This knowledge can help inform next year's strategy or even other campaigns. Event marketing is a constant learning process. Okay, so now that I've thrown all sorts of information at you, here's an example of what happens when that all comes together. Here you'll see a video of a press kit for Lego as I'm going over a few highlights. First, you'll notice that the press kit has recognizable branding. I didn't really have to introduce this kit as belonging to Lego because it's apparent from the video. They have a logo, a branded color, their social media, website, etc., so you know exactly whose content you're interacting with. There's only one press release on the kit, but it has a nice headline. It reads, "Lego Boost Building and Coding Set unveiled at CES empowers children to bring their Lego creations to life." Right away you know what the core of the release is about, but it's still intriguing enough that you want more detail. Even though there are no images or videos included with the release itself, it's still engaging because of how it's formatted and written. CES is used in the headline, they include information on where to find them at the show, and they incorporate bold section headers along with a bulleted list to make skimming easy. Aside from the release, this press kit also offers a ton of multimedia. In the image gallery, you can find a variety of high-resolution images that journalists can easily use. If you have a complex software product or something extremely technical, we recommend using infographics and screenshots here to not only help visualize what you have to offer, but to make the information memorable and easy to absorb as well. This press kit also has a simple lead generation form to collect additional information. So it might look like there are a lot of components and moving parts to this, but we truly try and make the process as simple and as seamless as possible for you. You pretty much just email us the content and we do the rest. Now, up next, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Moving on from the press kit, my colleague Trina is going to discuss press release best practices and distribution options.
Okay, thanks, Ariane. Now, if your company has never utilized a news release distribution, or if they have but stopped, there's more and more research supporting its importance. According to a 2015 Nielsen report, 80% of consumers trust earned media more than owned and paid. And according to an Outsell independent research study, 81% of senior marketers believe that earned media is more effective than paid. So what does this have to do with news release distribution? One of the biggest benefits of news release distribution is it helps generate earned media. PR Newswire sends to editorial systems and newsrooms of nearly 3,000 major media publications and to PR Newswire for journalists, or PRNJ for short. PRNJ is a site where journalists can sign up for free to receive news from PR Newswire. The site has been around for many years and it's unknown in the journalist community. All journalists that sign up are vetted and it has 36,000 active members. There is also research from the Content Marketing Institute that says 78% of effective content marketers use press release services versus 55% of less effective content marketers. How do press release services help content marketing? PR Newswire increases discoverability by sending releases to more than 4,000 websites. Think about it. Especially if you're a newer company, the audience that visit those websites may not know about your company or know what you have to offer is exactly what they've been looking for. Or maybe they see a release and it's exactly what a friend's been looking for. By blasting your releases to a broad distribution, it increases the chance of reaching potential clients. Releases are even funneled to websites when they are coded for certain industries. So CES releases reach sites like Apple Magazine and Information Week, to name a few. The importance of earned media is unparalleled in today's world, but it's hard to get journalists' attention. In Cision's 2017 State of the Media report, more than 50% of respondents said a pitch that lines up with their past work and interests is what drove them to pursue a story. How does PR Newswire help with that? When you send a release over PR Newswire, editorial specialists read and code every release by industry and subject. When journalists sign up for PR&J, they can indicate what types of industries they want to receive news about. This ensures that news releases are only sent to relevant media points. News release distribution also has numerous other benefits, such as it can increase SEO. Utilizing a PR Newswire distribution means your release will be posted on prnewswire.com, which received 13 million plus organic search referred traffic and approximately 1.7 million unique monthly visitors from May 2016 to May 2017. PRN.com is an established website with a dedicated team to keep up with Google algorithm changes and ensure news releases on the site are consistently optimized. Also, since releases are distributed to over 4,000 websites, each of those sites has their own methods for optimizing content on their site. I'll demonstrate how news distribution helps SEO later in this presentation. Another added benefit news distribution has is social media distribution. We all know the importance of social media, and PR Newswire provides distributions that come with Twitter distribution. After your release goes out, PR Newswire will tweet the PRN.com link to your release on up to 3 industry handles like PRN Consumer Tech, PRN Tech, and PRN Alert. Social media is a major part of a multi-channel strategy, and by having handles outside of your own tweeting your news, it provides the opportunity to reach new social audiences. All PR Newswire distributions also come with a post-distribution measurement report, also known as the visibility report, to help evaluate your results. After your release is distributed, you will receive a 2-hour, a 48-hour, 5-day, and 30-day report via email. The report includes graphs, geographic charts, and it is highly customizable for all business needs to show how goals were met and ROI. Finally, another major benefit to news distribution is access to counseling to ensure you are utilizing all the tools to get the most out of your experience with us. We pride ourselves on our customer service, and we often provide one-on-one counseling to assist customers with content strategies, press release best practices, SEO tips, and more. While we're technically not a press release writing service, we understand that not everyone is savvy in press release writing. We are happy to look at your release before distribution and provide suggestions and small rewrites in order to provide peace of mind. PR Newswire editors also review the release for grammatical and spelling errors before distributing. So, if you've never written a press release before, now is the time to start, since you will have access to editors that process press releases day in and day out. We know what makes a successful release, and we want to share our knowledge with you. We will be providing our contact information at the end of this webinar. If you decide to use our service, please don't be afraid to give us a call. You'll be glad you did. Now that you know the benefits, to make this easy for you, we have 2 pre-packaged options that combine our online press kit service that Ariane went over with our PR Newswire news release distribution. Our National Exposure Package combines our mid-level standard online press kit with a US 1 national PR Newswire release. This distribution targets the media, industry professionals, and websites across the US, so it casts a wide net, providing broad coverage that helps reach new audiences. Consider this distribution if you have new products, breakthroughs, or other major event announcements. The National Exposure Package includes one 800-word release that is sent to newspapers, radio, TV, and trade magazines in all 50 U.S. states. It also goes to more than 4,400 websites, receives SEO via posting to prnewswire.com, and includes Twitter posting, distribution to PR&J, and post-distribution visibility reports. Our other package option is our Web Visibility Package. This package combines our mid-level standard online press kit with a U.S. web-only PR Newswire release. This option is best if you aren't interested in reaching the media, but you want to promote your news or content to an audience outside of your own channels like your website and get an SEO boost. This option is great for promoting a company blog or new white paper or case study. The Web Visibility Package includes one unlimited word release sent to more than 1,600 websites. It receives SEO via posting to prnewswire.com and post-release visibility reports. Please note that this package does not include distribution to PR&J, Twitter posting, or distribution to newspapers, radio, TV, or trade magazines. This is strictly web only. The two packages I just mentioned are the main CES offerings that are meant to simplify choices in the order process. However, if you have more customized needs, PR Newswire has numerous other options that start as small as state and local distribution and grow to global distribution. PR Newswire distributes to over 170 countries in more than 40 languages, so the options are endless. If you have customized requests, please do not hesitate to talk to one of our sales representatives to get a package tailored to your needs. Again, we'll provide that contact information at the end of this webinar. We also have a few news release distribution add-ons and decision measurement services that I'll go into more detail now, such as PR Newswire Media Microlists. Media Microlists are available to fine-tune the targeting of your PR Newswire newsline. These lists reach reporters covering niche industry beats such as consumer electronics and mobile apps, and they are sent in a manner that reporters prefer, such as fax or email. Journalists request to be placed on these lists, so you can rest assured that your news aligns with their beats and interests, which could increase the chances of them pursuing your story. PR Newswire also offers multimedia distribution to accompany the news release distribution service. If you have photos or videos, we recommend adding them to your release for more engagement, especially since CES has so many great products to show off. Releases with photos receive an average of 1.4 times more views, and videos receive an average of 2.8 times more views. Journalists also love multimedia. According to Decision State of the Media report, journalist respondents said they always or often use multimedia elements 70.5% of the time. When you add on a photo and or video distribution, assets are embedded within the release on up to 2,100 partner sites that can handle display of multimedia assets. We also have some longer-term decision services that can help provide a more complete picture of communication strategies, such as Decisions Media Database. According to research from eMarketer, 75% of brands said that identifying the right influencers to reach out is the biggest challenge in earned media. Decisions Media Database service eliminates that challenge, as the platform allows users to search for influencers by industry, keyword, or type of outlet, like blog, newspaper, TV, etc. Once you have compiled a list of desired influencers, you can easily email them within the platform. Decision also offers monitoring as a way to fully understand the multi-channel reach of your campaigns. You can monitor coverage or mentions of your brand online, on social media, as well as TV, print, and radio. Decision's platform also allows for Google Analytics integration, so you can track earned media mentions directly back to your owned websites and purchases. This means that PR communication professionals finally have a way to tie their communications efforts to revenue. So we've gone over the benefits of news release distribution and the tools to accomplish those goals. Now, to ensure you're getting the most out of your event news, I'm going to dive into some tips for you to create successful news releases. These tips can be used for any event releases you have, whether you utilize our services or not. The first tip is to make sure you incorporate the event name and your company name in the headline or subheadline. Headlines should be under 100 characters, with the most important information appearing in the first 65 characters. Why? Because 65 characters is the cutoff point for email subject lines and newsroom feeds. Google's cutoff point is about 70 characters. You also want to feature a clear call to action. It's important that you think about the goal of the press release and what you want readers to do next. Is the goal to drive attendees to your booth? Ask the readers to make an appointment. Is it to drive traffic to your website? Ask the readers to go to your website. Side note, if you use Google Analytics, you can make any call to action links trackable so you can see how many website visitors came from your PR Newswire release. I provided the link to build trackable URLs in the slide. As for placement of the call to action, you want to make sure it appears towards the beginning of the release and at the bottom. People read differently. Some skim through the whole release and others only read the first few paragraphs. The next tip is to utilize multimedia like images and videos. I know, we mention multimedia a lot in this presentation, and that's because it's important. Images and videos capture attention, and infographics are a great way to visually display large amounts of data to make findings easier to digest. Many experts suggest starting with multimedia ideas first, even before writing a release. And as I mentioned earlier, people read things differently online, so it's important to use disruptive formatting and natural language. Break things out into bullet points or mark different sections of your release with bold subheadings. It breaks up the release in chunks, making the release skimmable and mobile friendly. You also want to use natural language because it helps make sure your news has a broader appeal and earns you points with search engines like Google. The next tip, don't forget to put your booth number in the release. You'd be surprised how many releases don't include a booth number, but it's so important. If you don't include a booth number, it's like inviting people to a birthday party but not including your address. And the final tip is to take advantage of social media. CES has an official hashtag to utilize, hashtag CES 2018. Tweet your news and show updates out with that hashtag to ensure you're reaching interested audiences on social. One of the main questions we often get about news releases is, when should I send it? Most exhibitors send the releases the first day of the show, but just because everyone else is doing it that way doesn't mean it's the best time. The first thing you want to think about is the goal of your release. If you want to drive booth traffic, then sending your release out during the show is already too late. Attendees are busy at the show and may miss your announcement. And as we know from earlier, most attendees know what booths they're going to visit before the show. Now, if you have a new product announcement and are looking to reach the media, releasing in conjunction with the show may not be a bad idea. This tactic may actually help get more media attention since the media are already looking at news coming out of the show. But be cautious, as many companies tend to release news on day one of the show, and your release could get lost in the avalanche. You also want to keep travel time in mind. In the days leading up to the show, people are running around, trying to wrap things up in the office, pack, and in most cases, they won't have access to internet while flying. If you're looking for your news to reach an audience attending CES, it's best to avoid sending the release 1 to 3 days before the show. It's also, as a good rule of thumb, don't submit press release right before getting on a plane, as press release services or the media may have timely questions. While you can't control when other big companies send their news, you can control when you send yours. Take a look and double check there isn't a big company in the industry making a huge announcement the day that you want to send your release. For example, the recent show, Mobile World Congress Americas, always starts on the day that Apple makes their new iPhone announcement. We often advise clients to either avoid sending their announcement that day or to send their release a few hours before or after so their news doesn't get lost in the iPhone frenzy. And just like it's okay to send out more than one tweet about a subject, you are allowed to send more than one release. Each release should have a different angle, but sending multiple announcements helps keep your company top of mind. And the last timing tip, CES happens shortly after the U.S. New Year's holiday. If you want your release to get the attention it deserves, it's best to avoid sending news a day or two after the holiday, as people often extend their vacations that week or are catching up from being off during the holidays. So, in order to put everything we just went over into practice, here is an example of a successful release that Pico Brew sent for CES 2017. As you can see to the right, the company name and trade show name are included in the event headline. This helps the release come up when users search for CES news. The company also included the booth number in the subheadline and second paragraph, making it clear for readers where they can find them at the show. Pico Brew also included a photo, which helped increase engagement, and provided a branded visual to include with their release. Now you can see how Pico Brew incorporated disruptive formatting by including a bulleted list of what's included with their product, making the release easily skimmable and clear what product features can be seen at CES. And finally, they included links to their website and social media channels to direct users to find out more information about their company. So I just told you why this release was successful, but in order to know if the release was successful, you need to have some way to measure it. As I mentioned earlier, PR Newswire distribution includes visibility reports, which provide metrics on how your release performed on PR Newswire's website and PR Newswire for Journalists. This release had 1,737 views on prnewswire.com and PR Newswire syndicated networks. This means that the release was viewed 1,700 times, which is really high compared to about the 200 views average releases get. The visibility reports for this release also show that 789 release views resulted from a search on Google, and 21 views resulted from a search on Bing or Yahoo. The 323 media views were from journalists discovering the release on PR Newswire's dedicated site for the media, PR Newswire for Journalists. There were views from varying outlets like NPR, Consumer Review, Consumer's Digest, and more. In some cases, the report can also show the registered name of the organization from which the user viewed the release. For example, the report for this release shows that big names like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Best Buy viewed this release. And finally, the most important indicator of success is engagement. Engagement means a reader was invested enough in your release to take an action of some kind. This release received 174 engagement actions. 169 engagement actions were from readers clicking on various links in the release. 5 readers shared the release via prnewswire.com, 3 readers shared via Twitter, 1 printed the release, and 1 shared the release via Facebook. Currently, engagement can only be measured if a reader engaged with the release on prnewswire.com, so those engagement numbers could be a lot higher. This is another reason why adding a trackable URL to your release can help you see even more data in Google Analytics. PR Newswire also understands that these numbers alone may not mean anything to you. Visibility reports include a metric called Industry Benchmark, which shows on a scale of 1 to 100 how your release performed compared to other similar releases in the industry. Anything over 50 means the release's performance was above average for that category. This release scored above 50 in all categories. And finally, as promised, I told you I'd show you how Cision PR Newswire and VPO can help with SEO. Our tools help with SEO in 4 ways. 1, VPO press kits and PR Newswire releases help generate earned media, which in turn helps enhance SEO. Google algorithms tend to bring up earned media articles in searches first, which is good because that's what all audiences trust the most. 2, VPO online press kits themselves are also search engine optimized. 3, as I mentioned earlier, all releases on PR Newswire's website are optimized, as you'll see shortly. And 4, all 4,000 plus syndicated sites that PR Newswire releases go to have their own methods for optimization as well. So, provided that you use words in your release that your desired audience would search for, your releases can come up in search engines 4 different ways using our services. In the example on the right, I searched for CES Custom Craft Beer, and almost 1 year later, the top 3 results are still pulling articles and releases related to Pico Brew's CES promotion. The first item that comes up is the release on prnewswire.com, which we reviewed previously. The release is #1 on Google search almost a year later. This Google search also pulls up Pico Group's website and Kickstarter and Indiegogo campaigns. The next article that comes up in the search is an earned media article that resulted from Pico Brew's presence at CES 2017. The publication visited Pico Brew at their booth during the show. This is a perfect example of the power and longevity of earned media. Next is another earned media article that can be directly attributed to Pico Brew's PR Newswire release, as the publication directly links back to the PR Newswire release in the article. And finally, this search brings up a Pinterest post that links to another piece of earned media content on a site called Brewbound. The article is a repost of Pico Brew's PR Newswire release and image. Almost a year later, and Pico Brew's PR Newswire release and the earned media resulting from it are still coming up in Google searches. And this concludes our webinar. Here are some resources if you'd like to learn more about anything we've discussed today. We will be emailing this presentation as well as the recording to this webinar later this afternoon for your reference, so you can access the link we used throughout the presentation. As a thank you for joining us, we'd like to offer 10% off of any of our services for CES. Just place your order at the link provided by December 15th and put in CES Webinar 10 in the special instructions. This is only for companies that attended our webinar, so please keep that in mind before sharing the code. And again, if our packages don't serve your needs, please do not be afraid to contact our sales team, which will be on the next slide, and they can work out a customized package for you and extend the 10% discount. So now we're going to open it up to Q&A. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen back. And we're going to take a look here and see if there's any questions. So feel free, again, if you had any questions throughout the webinar or anything at all, feel free to chat them in the lower left-hand corner in the chat box now. And we do have one question, so we'll let Ariane read that one.
Okay, so the question is, will you write the press releases for us? So this is a good question. As Trina mentioned earlier, we're not really a press release writing service, so we wouldn't be writing a piece from scratch for you. However, we would be more than happy to give you feedback on your release. So there are press release writing services out there as well, but I'd actually recommend doing this in-house or with the help of an agency if you have one. Once you have your release though, if you want our opinion on your headline or formatting or anything like that, you can send it to files@vpoinc.com and we'd be glad to take a look. One thing to keep in mind is if you do want feedback, just give us enough time to look it over, at least a day or two, and the earlier the better, because we want to be able to spend enough time on your release to give you proper feedback. Okay, so it looks like we have another question here about multiple press releases. So the question is, I have 3 releases I want to send, but we're not a big brand and we don't want to get lost in the noise. When is the best time to send our news so that we don't get lost?
So basically, like I said, if you don't want to get lost in the noise, you can send a release the first day, but definitely you can send multiple releases and you want to stagger them out. So you want to do maybe 3 weeks out and then maybe 2, 1, and then the first day of the show. You can do post-show releases. So you just want to get as much exposure as possible. I mean, think about Twitter even, things like that. You don't know who's going to be on when and when they're going to be looking at your news. So the more releases you send out, the more likely people are going to discover your content. And it looks like we have another question from Michelle. Remind us of the headline character limit for email headlines, Google, etc. So email headlines are about 65 characters is the cutoff, and Google is like 70. You can have a headline that's longer than that, but you want your most important information to be in that first 65 characters to ensure that when people are looking at email subject lines that they are, seeing the most important information first, the most gripping information first. All right, any other questions? It doesn't look like we have any other ones, so I'll give you just a second here. If you have any other questions and you don't feel comfortable asking them on this webinar, or you think of them after the webinar, like I said, please feel free to give us a call on the number at the screen, 973-783-7787, option 0. You will get myself or Ariane, so that's good because you'll have a familiar voice. Or you can email sales@vpoinc.com. That goes to Cindy Black and Chris Kenrick, who are also on the screen. We all work very closely together. So feel free to contact us if you have any other questions. And if I will be sending this presentation out after we're done, please feel free to fill out that post-show survey that's going to happen. You're going to get that prompt either right after this recording or right after this webinar, or you can also fill it out in the email you receive after. So please fill out the post-show survey so that we can get your feedback. We'd love your feedback on if this webinar helped and what we could do to improve it in the future. So it looks like that's all our questions. Thank you so much for joining us today, and if we don't hear from you, good luck at the show. Thank you, everyone.